Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are all doing well. So, Manchester United fans have been hit with some good news and some bad news over the last 24 hours. We've got to see an interview from Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Manchester United's new co-owner, who now owns 27.7% of the club and is in control of the footballing aspects of Manchester United as well. Although there's been a little bit of talk how that could stretch to the commercial side of things. But obviously, Ineos, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, all those guys have control of Manchester United's football side of things. And it was great to hear from them. And we'll obviously go through some of the quotes that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has said. But also last night, we got news that Luke Shaw's season could be over, which is devastating, really, for him, for Manchester United, because he's obviously a fantastic player for us. But also his career, like, what is going to happen next? Do Manchester United have to move on from Luke Shaw? I got criticism for saying that you could kind of compare his and Anthony Martial's career in terms of, you know, some managers not fancying them, and then you've got all the injury problems that they have. And despite that, you have had some very, very good moments from them, but also moments of inconsistency, moments where they haven't been playing well. And again, that comes down to, I think, the injuries having a massive, massive impact on their careers and on their ability to perform week in, week out. But we will get stuck into all of that. Before we do, please do me a favor, get hitting that subscribe button, liking, commenting, sharing. You can see I am in a hotel room, and that's because I am in Paris. Yes, I'm in France for the EPT Paris with PokerStars. That's what I've been doing out here at the moment. We've been making some content as well with Rory, with Boovy, and that will be out very, very soon on the club. So make sure you're checking that out and go and subscribe to the club as well. The link is in the description below. But as I was saying, this news comes from Chris Wheeler of the Daily Mail, who has reported that Manchester United fear Luke Shaw could miss the rest of the season after suffering a recurrence of the leg injury that obviously he's been carrying. Massive, massive blow. Massive blow for Luke Shaw. And as I said, oh, man, I think he could be done at Manchester. Obviously, it's difficult because you can't sell an injured player. You can't sell an injured player. He's still under contract at Manchester United. But we need to move on, man. You look at our left-backs. We got Terrell Malacia, who's been injured all season. God knows when he's going to return. You got Luke Shaw, who's been injured all season. We've been having to play Diogo Dalot over there, even though he's been doing really well at right-back. I know he can play there. We've seen Aaron Wan-Bissaka there. We've seen Victor Lindelof there. So Manchester United really have to sort out this left-back spot. It's going to be one of those spots that that Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe are going to have to look at as well. Interestingly, we're talking about Mason Greenwood. And when they were talking about that, it felt like the door was open to him potentially returning, which is a surprise to me because I felt like that may never happen or could never happen. But again, looking at potential, like the way he was talking about that. But we're going to have to get a left-back. We have to get that sorted. And if Luke Shaw is going to be injured all the time, again, can't hold that against him. But availability is an ability in itself. And I do sympathise with him. So this isn't me just going, oh, he's injured, get rid, you know. But Manchester United need someone to be there, to be playing at that position. And it's an important position in modern day football. So you need, you know, familiarity there. I also think Marcus Rashford suffered not having that partnership with Luke Shaw down that left-hand side, which he usually enjoys. And you need to make relationships. You need to start, you know, getting that rhythm together. And we've never been able to build that with him out of the team. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has obviously been talking as well since he's arrived at Manchester United. He says it's been a complete misery, really, in the last 11 years. And it's just frustrating if you're a Manchester United supporter that during that period of time, that's football, isn't it? It has its ups and downs. We have two issues. One is the long term, getting Manchester United to where we would like to get it. But there's also the shorter term of getting the most out of the club as it stands today, because we would like to see the Champions League for next season if we can. I know the world these days likes instant gratification, but that's not the case in football, really. Look at Pep Guardiola at City. It didn't happen overnight. It takes time to build a squad. But you know, it's not really the way that we're looking at it from a squad point of view. So this is a man that's not looking for, look, he wants immediate results. As you said, we need Champions League football. It's important to Manchester United. It's important to how much money we can spend in the transfer windows. But also, it's not going to change overnight. And I think Manchester United fans really have to accept that as well. We have to have a little bit of patience. But all the positivity, look, I'm an eternal optimist. But I tweeted it, like, my glass is more than half full right now, because I'm starting to feel a little bit of optimism every time this guy opens his mouth. But at the same time, once bitten, twice shy, all of that, you don't want to get the wool pulled down over your eyes, and you don't want to be lied to by some billionaire, do you? But so far, what he's been saying, so good. To be honest, I don't think I'll ever lose money. For me, it's not about a financial investment. The objective was to get involved and be influential in the future of Manchester United. We're really, really clear about that financial growth. It's football-led. So if we're successful on the pitch, then everything else will follow. How many fucking times have I said that on one of these videos on my channel or Paddock or the club or whatever? Manchester United focusing on commercial growth, commercial success, when we know, because of the sheer numbers of our fan base, we know that if Manchester United are successful, they will be much more commercially successful. It's not rocket science. Yet we were still hustling backwards last time and just focusing on the commercial side of things, derelicting the football side of things. It was a shambles. He said, I think recruitment in the modern game is critical. United have clearly spent a lot of money, but they haven't done as well as some other clubs. So when I was talking about being the best in class in all aspects of football, recruitment is top of that list. On Dan Ashworth, he said, it's a bit silly personally. I won't get dragged into it. What I do think is completely absurd is suggesting a man who is really good at his job sits in his garden for 1.5 years. Ultimately, you can't really criticise Dan for looking at maybe the most coveted job in football as a sporting director, particularly with the challenge at Manchester United. And on Mason Greenwood, he was basically saying, he basically refused to completely rule out a future for him at the club. Now, this could be, look, he said, we'll make a decision and we will justify it. He's on. Apologies about that. My battery died on the camera. We were talking about Mason Greenwood, and there was a quote from Sir Jim Ratcliffe on him. He said, we will make a decision, correct. All I can do is talk about the principle of how we will approach decisions like that. Is he the right type of footballer? Are we happy with if he is a good person or not? He's a Manchester United footballer, so we are in charge of football. So the answer is yes, we have to make a decision. It's clear we have to make a decision. There's no decision that's been made. He's on loan, obviously, but he's not the only one. We've got 1 or 2 footballers that we have to deal with and we have to make a decision on, so we will do that. The process will be understand the facts, not the hype, and then try and come to fair decision based on values, which is basically, is he a good guy or not? Could he play sincerely for Manchester United well? Would we be comfortable with it? And would the fans be comfortable with it? So seemingly kind of opening the door, you know, potentially like weakening that stance that Manchester United had on him. But it could also be a case that, you know, Manchester United have heard there's a lot of interest in Spain. Barcelona have been tied with a move for him, etc. And by pretending that you possibly do want to keep him, you know, you potentially get more value for him in terms of a sale. So it is interesting, this one. And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, because obviously it's a very sensitive topic, and there'll be a lot of emotions attached to it, and therefore people will react to it emotionally no matter what way it goes. So it'll be interesting to see how this one goes. But generally speaking, you know, when I hear Sir Jim Ratcliffe talk about Manchester United going forward, the changes they want to make on and off the pitch, all those kind of things, I'm generally quite confident. I'm quite optimistic that these guys could be the guys to bring Manchester United to glory. But at the same time, there's a long way to go. There's a lot of competition these days as well. But him saying and echoing Sir Alex Ferguson saying, I want to knock them off their perch, RE City, music to my ears. It's great to hear a manager finally say things, a co-owner, and finally say some of these things and, you know, want to get Manchester United back to where we belong. Because for far too long, we haven't even been competing, and it's embarrassing. Anyway, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Apologies about the battery dying, but, you know, what are we going to do? Anyway, see you later.